Hey friends, welcome back to the shop. Today is a pretty big day for a couple of reasons. One is my mom and dad are in town, and two, we're pulling the motor. Finally.
Today's the day!
Yes. And with mom and dad in town, of course, I have to have the CEO of Shade Tree Incorporated come in as our technical advisor and age-appropriate technician to be able to give us a hand. But seriously, Dad and Mom are really engaged in this series, so what better way to really kind of pull them in than to have Dad help us pull the motor and Mom be the technical photographer, covering that role, so to speak. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we need to do is put on the lifting plate. So we've got that in place. Okay, so what we're going to end up using is this Spectre, the engine lift plate. This goes on where the carburetor is typically placed. It's part number 903. I actually purchased this up off of Amazon, and I'll post the link in the description box for anybody that may be interested in it. I chose this one over several different ones. One for the reviews, and two, looking at the welds on this particular plate. It looks really solid. Should not have any problems with it. Some will say that you can use the stock studs from the carburetor. I really prefer not to. If you're going to replace them, you can either go with a grade 5 or a grade 8 bolt. I always want to go on the side of caution and get the best that I possibly can to avoid anything from breaking, so I just went to the local hardware store and picked up grade A bolts that will go back in the same place as the stock studs. For the stock studs, we're going to use what is commonly known as the 2-nut method. I won't go into the list of jokes that went around in this shop because of that. But you can let your imagination run with that. So I'll go ahead and zoom in, let Dana demonstrate on what that looks like and how easy it is to take those stock studs out.
All right, so first step is get yourself 2 nuts. Now I got a pair behind the camera over here, but we're gonna use these. It really is super easy, and I've used this before on my Forester to pull studs out. So what you're going to do is you're going to take one of your nuts and go ahead and get it down about halfway down your stud. So while you have one nut halfway down, take your second nut and put it on top. Now you're going to hold the lower nut in place so you can tighten the top nut to the second nut. And it's really easy to do this because these are the original nuts that came off the carburetor, so you know that they fit. And that's it. Now that you have both nuts tightened against each other, when you unscrew the lower nut, that stud is going to come right out because it's got nowhere else to go. This one, the top one's tightened against it, so you have built up enough resistance to where when I turn this now, that stud should lift out.
Now that we've got our lift plate on, we're going to go ahead, raise it up, and loosen up the motor mounts so we can easily take them out from down here. We have a lift, might as well use it. So we have a bolt on the front and then a bolt on the back of the motor mount going into the block on each side. That's what we're going to end up taking out to where it's easy just to remove it from the top.
All right, I'm starting with the back.
Okay.
I like a quick escape route in case something goes wrong.
Now comes the fun part. We'll go ahead and slide the cherry picker over, get it hooked up, and start to pull it out. So follow along. One thing to kind of go through before we hook this all up, I decided to buy this leveler from Harbor Freight. This is the 2-ton leveler. The reason I picked this up, you'll see many folks that'll end up taking the motors out just with several people kind of moving it up and down, back and forth. And to avoid a lot of that effort, why not just spend 40 bucks to pick up something that's going to make it a hell of a lot easier. Comes with the chains, does not come with the bolts to hook everything up. So I just picked up more of the grade 8 bolts from the hardware store in order to attach this to the lift plate. So we'll go ahead and get it going.
There's a tube that comes across.
It's
there.
over here. We're stuck on the motor mount on this side. The bell housing is hitting the motor mount.
Oh, yep, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, those may have to come off,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
All right, well, we can get those bolts. Let's do it.
It's very interesting to find down here. Look at that. Look down.
What is it?
It's a spark plug in the motor mount.
Oh my gosh. Turn your
Water's going.
All right, let's drop it down and then we can just pull it out that way.
yeah. That's what I
How do I
found.
handle? Oh, I put it there.
I don't know what happened to your handle. I didn't touch it. Where do you want the weights on? Where do you want the
I want it between the housing and the oil pan to where it's a good center.
Yeah, I want to make sure that we're there. Is that good?
Make sure it's not gonna roll.
It's gonna roll. And then the tire blows.
Then Dad, those boards can go underneath the oil pan.
Okay, raise it up.
See how that works.
There you go.
Good?
Take the pressure off.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's stable now.
Nice job with the boards.
Greasy 5.
Okay. Well, that was fun. That was an adventure for sure.
Got grease on your face again.
I told you, I really get into my work. Takes too much time to grab a clean towel. Before we close this out, I wanted to make sure that I introduce my mom and photographer during this time frame. So thank you, Mom.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you being a part of this.
You're welcome. I liked it. Enjoyed it.
I'm glad you did. A few things that we made decisions on. One, depending upon who you ask or what you read, some will say drop the tranny before you remove the engine. Some of them just do it together. We opted to go ahead and try to take it out together. Now that obviously brought on some additional challenges throughout the way that we had to figure out clearance. We were hitting the rack and pinion underneath. Then we ultimately decided that we needed to remove the strut bar off top in order to really give us the amount of clearance. And another big mistake that I should have remembered is to actually put a big bag, trash bag or Ziploc bag, on the back of the transmission where the drive shaft connects to catch all of the fluid.
We, when we broke free the drive shaft, there was no transmission fluid came out. When we pulled the engine, all of that fluid came out and is now on the shop floor.
Yeah.
So definitely drain the transmission or cover the end to keep that from happening to you.
Yeah.
And I'll just go ahead and add kitty litter to the grocery list.
Definitely a lot of kitty litter. It looks like a murder scene for sure. Goodness.
At least the oil looks good.
Right.
It's a good color.
Yeah. Thank you all once again for following along in this fun little journey as we work on Clara. If you liked it all, be sure to click that like. Join us again on the next episode. Take care. Be safe. We'll see you soon. It's funny how both of them looked at me at the same time.
Somebody has, I'll start.
No.
These glasses are fogging up and I don't figure I'll need to see anything.
I'm waiting for you.
Okay.
Nut number 1.
Cheap nut.
Well, it's a good thing that I didn't stop recording.
Young nut, old nut,
Okay.
rusty nut.